AAA gaming is dead. Now, this has been a big thing people have been talking about for years now, but gaming has been a bit of a standstill these last few years. We have had big games like Lethal Company and most recently Schedule 1 with its interesting gameplay and humour, but the thing that I have noticed that all of these games have in common is that they are made by indie devs, or sometimes only one developer, which is crazy how these games have managed to beat the big games. But what you may have also noticed by these hugely popular games is that once the hype dies down, usually within a month or two, the game seems to just drop off the earth. And the way gaming is going is very unsustainable. Now, to first find out the reasons to why indie gaming has kind of taken over, we have to talk about the companies and the changes that have happened in the last 10 years. Now, with AAA companies at the moment, it feels like you're playing Russian roulette, with them publishing the same type of series with absolutely no imagination or creativity put into them. With crazy graphics that sometimes even can't handle the latest graphics cards, it seems like they put more effort into getting the game photorealistic than actually perfecting the mechanics of the game. Because if they actually did that, the games would be so much more better. And I would say that graphics peaked in around 2016? And they don't really need to keep on working on perfecting the graphics. I would say that Unreal Engine 5 is probably a big problem for that, because it just makes it too easy to make the graphics a lot better. Another reason with AAA games that I've already mentioned is the lack of creativity. People at these companies have been kept to crazy schedules and objectives. It seems that it's all just a money game. And the same thing seems to be happening to all forms of things in the world, like football as well. It's having the same issue. But if these big companies actually stopped thinking about the money that's involved in some of these huge IPs, they might actually just start to get money naturally from the games being actually good. WWE is a great example of a AAA company being wild. They don't even keep the servers up for the older games, which I find absolutely crazy, right? They are keeping the servers up currently for WWE 2K24, 23, and 22 is off completely. I find that crazy, and they won't ever be coming back on. So, not to mention also that the servers on the newer games actually is just as worse. So it wouldn't have even mattered to have the servers open. It would have just been nice to have the servers open for a game that you paid £50 for. Another thing that also makes me lose my brain cells as well as playing that game is when I load up the game, it just seems to crash my whole PC. And especially when I'm paying good money on a game, I still expect it to still load. It's crazy. And that's only one example of a AAA company just being absolutely ridiculous. But with the rise of indie games, it seems obvious why they have been doing well and kind of exploding with popularity. They obviously interact with their communities a lot more and listen to them and actually enjoy creating their games. And for most of them, it's more of a passion project more than anything. Not something that they are just told to do and create and, make. So there's actually passion or actually love put into making them. And the features that are added are things that the creators believe is good for the game and the players. Indie games seem to be filling in these gaps that the big developers left, which is crazy, right? Some of these companies have hundreds of employees, and just one person called Tyler managed to make a game that resonated with more players. Just using Tyler as an example, he basically became a multi-millionaire in the first month of the game being out, which is crazy. Repo, another game that recently came out as well, has taken over the gaming space with its similar gameplay to Lethal Company. It's a pretty funny game actually, and there is loads of examples of these type of games that are doing really well, even though there is next to no marketing to them, next to no employees to them, and it just makes sense. It also could be the fact that gamers a while back were a lot younger and would also have to think of what game they wanted to get for Christmas and their birthdays, and nowadays we have games, we have hundreds of games actually on Xbox Game Pass, so if you do get bored of a game for even a second, it's right on to the next game. So people are going to be switching back and forth games a lot. But there is lingering problems with indie games taking over. Indie games' problems lie in just the devs themselves and overall marketing, being reliant on TikTok clips and shorts, because with most of these games having a few developers working on it, means that updates are going to be slower to come out, and it just seems to drop very low in player count after the hype dies down. a bit, which is normal for, you know, any game. But with these type of, like, I would call them gimmick games, like, you know, Fragpunk, where it's a similar game to Valorant, but there's just a few new features just to spice it up. And it was a good game, I will admit, but as the hype went down, the game just absolutely flopped. And that's what seems to be happening to all of these types of games. We just have them, like, kind of drop off like crazy, never to really see them again. I mean, there's obviously still a chance that these games can still come back with a good update or whatever, but it just seems like they're never going to come back. And it just seems like it's a game that you're just going to play for the time being and then just completely give up with it, and that's what it seems like for most of these games. Although there is still time for the game to stay popular or at least come back, and all of the other games I've already mentioned just seem to become a trend, like memes online. And when they die down, they seem to just be completely forgotten about. You know, Content Warning is another game which I don't think I've heard a single human talk about in the last, like, what, year since it came out, and it literally died within a month. Well, pretty much within a month, which is absolutely crazy. And obviously, I got the game back when it was free to play, when it first came out, pretty much, and I was gonna stream it. But before I got the chance to play the game, it had already died, and my friend stopped playing it. It just seems that there's some sort of cycle with all of these games that are coming out, especially from indie games now, and some of them seem to break the cycle, but most of them will stay in this cycle where they stay relevant for a little bit, and then just start to just crumble away very quickly, I might add, and yeah, it just seems to die. With Reaper, though, I would say that it could be the one to kind of break the cycle and actually stay relevant for a while. I mean, it has its different take on the games, different to kind of Lethal Company in a way, which I think it will probably do good just because of that. Now, you may be wondering, games can't stay alive forever, and sometimes shouldn't stay alive for long. But the thing is obviously that these games are dying, like sometimes obviously, as already mentioned, in less than a month after they come out. And it's just kind of poor that that's happening. Like, realistically, some of the games that you're seeing on the screen right now are actually not that bad. Like, they're actually pretty good games. So why are they dying this quickly? I feel like gaming companies kind of hype up games a little bit too much now, just for the hope that their game becomes the next cash cow and generates a crap ton of revenue, which kind of ruins the experience for everyone when they expect that they're going to get a game that is new. There has to be at least some updates for it, like each week, to keep the game kind of fresh and up to date, but that is just not the case anymore. It feels like games get some sort of like PR or like artificial blow up to just get a lot of money on launch, kind of like when companies kind of phone it in. And I've started to notice this a lot with games nowadays, when they start to make a game and kind of publish it in December to then wait for the games to come out and then obviously publish it, then to hope that everybody gets in December, to then realize the game is either a buggy or just laggy or just an absolute mess. Like when games try to publish onto the Xbox One, and the game definitely should not be running on an Xbox One, being at like 20 FPS. Kinda like what happened with Cyberpunk, but at least they sorted their issues out eventually. It almost seems like indie games are kind of a big threat to the bigger companies as well, and I'm pretty sure that there's been a lot of videos already mentioning this. And, you know, hopefully that gets the bigger companies to kind of get their act together. Now, I might as well say this, but obviously this isn't the case for every company and every game, because as already mentioned, there are some great examples and some good games that have came out from AAA games as well, or AAA companies. Elden Ring as a great example. It's an amazing game. I've never played it, but I've been watching people play it, and it seems somewhat decent. It's not my cup of tea, I'll give you that, because I don't exactly play RPG games all the time, but it sounds like a pretty good game, and looks like a pretty good game. It kind of gives you like some sort of Dark Souls kind of imagery, I guess, but yeah. But it's more the overall thesis for everybody that sees games coming out now, and I would say that you watching this video right now could maybe count, maybe 5 games that came out from AAA publishers that was not the best. After this video's actually over, try commenting 5 games that were not the best in your opinion. But I feel like that gets into my own personal opinion of like the whole of gaming at the moment, in which I feel like there is absolutely no games to play. Maybe that's my own stubbornness really to not try out like Hollow Knight or the other 100 games I have on Steam, but that's for another video, I guess. In conclusion, you know, I feel like this issue will either get worse or, I mean, potentially get better. It just depends on what, obviously, these higher-ups at the companies decide to do, because there's some games that they should not be like, I don't know, I just feel like you shouldn't be publishing it like that. It feels like there's absolutely no like new stuff added. There's nothing to make the game more kind of like magical in a way, I guess. Then that cycle of these indie games becomes, becoming really popular and then just dying really quickly. Could prove to make gaming even worse, but I believe that is not exactly a major problem, because with the amount of games that come out nowadays, it's just a thing of people moving on to play another title, and with stuff like Xbox Game Pass, it's probably not going to change, which is probably a good thing. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, like, right now, and... why did I write down the script? And I will see you guys in the next video, boys. See you guys later. Peace.